Recognize you, sir. So you don't have
Point of personal privilege. Robert's rules, do I proceed, Madam City Attorney?
First of all, there was not 3 people who brought the motion. I'm correcting you. There was 1 person who brought the motion.
It was just stated that you're not prepared to bring it up tonight. You were prepared to end a 30-year relationship last week.
Our auditor
On
is
a
not here.
non-agenda item.
If I may.
And we didn't have research, we didn't have information.
We've been
No, we
getting
just
information.
passed. You still want to go forward with what you do, and that's your choice. I'm not saying you need to rescind what you voted on. However, all these people came to find out why you did what you did, and I think you owe it to them.
And
So I agree with Mr. Boylston. Let's add a discussion item about it.
Hello, my name is Mikey. I actually am not a resident of Delray, but I got married at Old School Square 20 years ago. And actually, this past couple of years, I've had the opportunity to produce children's television in Old School Square on the stage and in the studio there, and be able to distribute it across the nation. And other people had turned me down when I asked them if I could do it in some of their spaces, because I know theaters nationwide are shuttering. My friends, my performer friends, my theater friends are not able to work. They've been on unemployment for years, for the past couple years because of this. Theaters are closing down nationwide, and these people are killing it. They're rock stars. They're doing it. You don't fire the gold medalists. You don't fire the people that are doing the best job. Attendance is up. The ticket sales are up. Donations are up. The place looks great. What other reason would you have to fight? They're not doing a bad job. They're killing it. And the only other reason that I can see, and I think other people have definitely seen as well, that you guys want to change management is because somebody else wants a piece of that success that they've built over the past 30 years.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, City Manager, I'm here today as a concerned citizen, donor, and your constituent. Most of you all know me and my family and what we've done for this city. Sorry, my voice is shaking. But your recent vote to terminate the lease agreement with Old School Square gives my family and many other generous donors in this city great pause, as well as grave concerns regarding our commitment to support any nonprofit leasing from the city of Delray Beach or receiving CRA grant money. I personally feel horrible for the other not-for-profits wondering, will I be next? The Commission, you all voted unanimously a few weeks ago to allow Old School Square donor-funded renovations to continue to the Crest building. The private donor of an extraordinary gift of $1.4 million to renovate and bring bathrooms and kitchens up to code spoke to you at the meeting. Old School Square is adding culinary arts to the school and a free program offering restaurant training to citizens of our community to make them more readily employed, which was an idea directly given to me by a city commissioner. None of these renovations are funded with any public city dollars. They're all donations. Then a few short weeks later, at another city meeting of you decided to end the lease with Old School Square. At this point, why would anybody donate their hard-earned money to any nonprofit organization in this city, subject to the whims of the Commission? Voting to spend private donors' money on improvements to city buildings, knowing that you've been thinking for years to let them go, is downright shameful. Shameful. Unjust enrichment is a term that comes to mind. I have to wonder what could possibly have changed in the short interim of the meeting before to warrant such drastic action. Phone calls are being made asking for help to raise money to restart Old School Square. What's really happening behind the scenes? As a major donor in Delray Beach, this is more than frightening. I had to turn this down, sorry. Personally, I'm unsure if you realize the enormous responsibility you've just accepted on behalf of your constituents. Old School Square operates with approximately $3.8 million budget during non-COVID times. The CRA awarded a grant of $750,000. That's less than 25% of the entire budget. The people that voted to end the lease, it takes courage, good character and grace to admit sometimes when you've made a mistake or a hasty decision. Maybe you were ill-advised, didn't have the chance to review the submitted documents. You might have been too busy to have a roundtable discussion with Old School Square. No time for a community charrette. You must be really busy to not have time to do your diligence before making decisions on behalf of the taxpayers in Delray Beach. Collecting facts and data from everyone is basic for any decision. These decisions and the damage done may be irreversible. The impact of this will severely impact all not-for-profits in this city, not just Old School Square, beginning right now and into the future. I don't know if you'll ever be able to earn back the trust needed by donors and the voters who elected you. Where do we possibly go from here?
Hi everybody, Gilley, Mel Rich. I own the Old School Bakery. I own the property adjacent to Old School Square. I've lived here 22 years. I'm a past board member. I filled a full 6-year term. I love Old School Square, as all of you I'm sure do. I will just ask you please to reconsider, in the light of your fiscal responsibility, the oath that you have taken to the city, because you are exposing the city again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Joe Gilley. I'm the former president and CEO of Old School Square for 23 years. I want to thank you. I'm here tonight to support you. You. Are you surprised? Well, you shouldn't be, because this is right where I need to be, is right here with you. Right here with you. It's where I belong. For 23 years, I worked and partnered with 8 mayors, over 50 commissioners, 4 city managers, imagine that, and an incredible assistant city manager. And not once was I accused of corruption or mismanagement or lack of diversity. Until now, 6 years after I have left that position. Something's wrong. Something is wrong. And I know that you know that in your heart and in your minds, that something is wrong. And I'm here to support you because I believe that you know in your hearts and minds that this is wrong. I know there's challenges right now. I know we had challenges. But guess what? We had commissioners, we had mayors, we had city staff, we had board members, we had staff at Old School Square, and we got through these problems and issues because we cared about the community. And that's the bottom line here. I truly believe that Old School Square is the best group of people that ran it. And they understand it. And they were all committed to this community, every one of them. Just like you're committed to this community. So I support you tonight, again, because I believe in you. And I think you'll make the right choice, like so many before you have done, and so many that will do after you. I know they will. You need to put Old School Square back where it belongs. And together we can meet all these challenges. I'm proud of our legacy. There are tens of thousands of people, now millions of people, that have stepped on that site at Old School Square for cultural activities. You know what's most important to me? The children. That's where we've made the difference in this community. The children whose lives we've touched, that may have never got the opportunity to have an arts experience. That's what we're about. I'm proud of that legacy, and I'm proud of our partnership. I support you tonight because I know you'll do the right thing. Thank you. Put Old School Square back.
Good evening. My name is Jason Tomaszewski, and I am a 15-year employee of Old School Square. I am the head of production, and I thought I would just take this moment to just give you sort of my viewpoint of what our experience has been in this relationship. I can tell you first and foremost that every request from the city has been granted and has been executed with 150% of Old School Square's passion. We have given you everything that you've asked for and have wanted and have always had our space open to you. Next question that I have is, I heard earlier that one of the problems was turnover in CEOs. One question that I have is, what about your turnover with city managers? Also, one of the reasons why we're here is because of an alleged failure on the behalf of Old School Square. Well, what about some of the failures from the city? A couple years ago, we were granted with a wonderful renovation to our buildings that included new roofs, new air conditionings, and I am very happy to report that the roofs still leak, the air conditionings do not work, the electrical that is outside is failing, and has also been a problem that I've had to come behind and fix so nobody gets hurt. Also, there are trees that we repeatedly had asked to be cleaned because they are a liability to not only our patrons, but also the residents of the city of Delray Beach who communicate and commune on our grounds. Okay? These have been requests that I personally have made and have not been met. So all I have to do is say, and get on record, whoever comes in, that they knows that they will have a city that really does not have their interest in harm. And also that the poor residents of Delray Beach, if they experience your services like you've serviced Old School Square, they're in for a rough couple of years. Thank you.
I've chosen to speak today because one of the main reasons I chose to move to Delray Beach from Parkland almost 5 years ago was for Old School Square. However, this is not the reason I've chosen to leave work. I do work in Fort Lauderdale and leave work and choose to speak to you today. However, I am here to offer my firsthand knowledge of public, private operations and fundraising for similar institutions here in Florida. I currently serve as a board member on an executive committee of the Friends of Florida History. It's a 501c3, which is operated by the Florida Department of State. This particular entity, this 501c3, was put in place to manage several historic properties that are owned by the state of Florida. I've been on this committee for many years and previously served on the Florida Historic Commission and as ambassador and liaison for the Florida Department of State for Viva Florida 500, which is the 500th anniversary of Florida being named Florida by Ponce de Leon. Prior to that, I spent over 20 years chairing and fundraising millions of dollars and serving on the board of directors for the Viscayan Museum and Gardens in Miami. In all of these positions, I have witnessed firsthand how grassroots community spirit and fundraising efforts are obliterated when government entities or quasi-government management companies take over and remove the heart and soul of an organization. I have witnessed these significant impacts personally. There are millions of dollars lost in event income at Viscaya, not to mention membership declines. Community and volunteerism were also significantly impacted by that decision. With Friends of Florida History, there has been no significant revenue generated in any meaningful way since its inception, and the whole purpose of its inception was to raise funds outside the taxpayer's dollar. So they have raised nothing. They are stuck in bureaucratic red tape and can get absolutely nothing done. And I still serve on this committee. And this is not because these are bad people or because of any bad intentions. This is because the red tape that I just mentioned and the bureaucracy and community and giving and doing just do not function together. I know this firsthand. I have seen this over the last 20 years. I know that these type of things, well-intentioned, and we think that a management company is going to come in and they're going to have all the answers. But when you do these things, you rip the heart and soul out of an organization, which is here for our community. I urge you to reconsider this.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is David Schmidt. I'm here tonight to speak to you in my capacity as President of the Delray Beach Chamber of Commerce. I have a statement to read on behalf of the Board of Directors. For 30 years, Old School Square has been an integral part of our community. It helps spur the revitalization of a dying downtown. It has provided an entertainment and cultural venue unparalleled in South Florida. that has been a haven of arts, culture, and connection for countless local and visiting families. It has had a tremendous economic impact on our business community as patrons and guests have stayed in our local hotels, dined in our local restaurants, and shopped in our local stores. In short, Old School Square has been the heart of Delray Beach. Old School Square is a shining example of the power of people working together, the sort of collaborative problem-solving initiative that the residents and government of this city can be proud of. Together, the residents and the city took an abandoned, rundown eyesore in the heart of the city and transformed it into the heart of the community. It is just one example of residents and the city commission and staff joining forces to recognize a problem as a promise in disguise. We collectively turned an issue into an opportunity through unity and creativity. In the process, it not only enlivened our identity as a community, but became the pride of that identity because it was something that we, all of us, had built together. It is clear that there are challenges at Old School Square. What nonprofit or city government, for that matter, has not had its share? But in the past, when other nonprofit organizations so central to our community faced struggles, the city worked with those organizations to solve the problems instead of cutting ties. I've referred to Old School Square as the heart of the city. Hearts can become ill and require treatment, but it's rare when a heart needs to be completely removed and replaced. Instead of treating the ailments with the organization, which appear to be more than treatable, the City Commission has chosen to give Old School Square a transplant. Unfortunately, this is another example of decisions being made by emotion. Votes are being made based on personality and not policy, and it was made without any prior notice to the public. Management at Old School Square can be fixed. Let us fix it together. This is the perfect opportunity for the city to utilize the collaborative process that has worked so well in the past to right the ship. A task force could be established to work with management at Old School Square to transform its issues into opportunities once more, and the Chamber of Commerce is more than willing to participate in that process and help to heal the heart of our city. A heart that has given so much to us and now simply needs our care in return. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Greater Delray Beach Chamber of Commerce, I would urge the Commission to vote tonight to rescind the motion to terminate the lease with Old School Square Center for the Arts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name's Rob Long. I live at 2962 Calabria Way, Delray Beach. Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Welcome to the fray, Mr. Moore. I'm a 12-year resident of Delray Beach. I've spent the last 6 consecutive years serving on volunteer advisory boards with the city. Currently on my 2nd term of Planning and Zoning Board. I say that to emphasize my commitment to Delray Beach and everything it has to offer, and to share my complete disapproval of the unwarranted attack on our volunteer class last week. People who give their time, money, and loyalty to this city, really the heart and soul of our city, are being singled out, denigrated, and disrespected by certain political elements here. It's hard to fathom that this commission terminated Old School Square's lease after a 30-year run with no agenda item, no staff presentation on the data, no chance for Old School Square to defend themselves, and no notice to the public. Most of the discussion on this item was frankly emotional and hyperbolic. Valid reasons weren't really presented, and the way the discussion was brought forth felt very personal. I'm not here to condone the mistakes that were made by Old School Square Board. Those should be addressed, but there should be a good faith effort to resolve this issue, like responsible public officials and professionals would do. For instance, scheduling a public notice workshop with facts and research that allows the public to engage in a discussion with the nonprofit whose lease you just voted to terminate. This rash decision leaves us all asking, was there any vision in mind for an alternative future for Old School Square? Was there any analysis of the consequences of this termination? This will have a major impact on Delray Beach. Old School Square is a major cultural hub for both residents and visitors. And why pick this fight now? Especially when Old School Square just produced its biggest concert ever, the Jimmy Buffett one. Are there not enough other issues with the city right now? The unfilled positions, for instance, the Delta variant surge, while we're all wearing masks tonight, the numerous lawsuits the city is embroiled in currently, the budget that needs adoption, the new city manager, this felt opportunistic and irresponsible, and we deserve better. It's not too late to rescind this and reconsider. Over 6,100 people signed a petition within a week, so that should be a signal maybe to reconsider. It's not capitulation to rescind this. It's being a responsive public official. And Mr. Moore, I apologize, this is your first intro to our fair city. And I urge you not to distance yourself from the culture of toxic vendettas and petty reprisals embodied by several members of this commission. Thank you.
And I echo all the previous comments made in regards to the ill-mannered and just absolutely ill-timed consideration of the economic gut punch that you have given to this city and to the nonprofits that actually benefit from Old School Square. I've had the privilege to work with them on 4 occasions, bringing 4 major events close to 1,000 people each time in support of new nonprofits here. You've eradicated that with one decision, and then to have used that same rationale to not even open it up for discussion this evening is appalling. That you're giving us 1 hour to voice concerns with no remediation is frankly welcome to our city. This is what you can expect. And one of the other items no one has ever put forth, what I've seen in any of this analysis, is what is the positive economic impact that has been shepherded through this organization's 30-year tenure. Does anyone have an answer for that? Or should that have been a discussion item that should have been done before doing this type of an action that has consequences? That building will stay empty for years before it becomes fully functional. And just as was said, it will probably be left to disrepair and other types of negotiated contracts that don't seem very apparent. And I will offer a little correction to our new city mayor, is the fact that the comments that were made about conversations about management companies was not directed towards you. It was from other members of this commission, which stated on the record that they've had these conversations. It smells dirty, smells nasty, and I think y'all need to back it up a little bit and let the citizens have a voice, because it's our property, not yours.
Hi, my name is Deborah Peterson, and I'm here as a local nonprofit called Eat Better, Live Better. We're located at 14451 South Military Trail, and running a nonprofit during the pandemic is very hard. Running a nonprofit in general is very hard. I have talked and worked with and collaborated with many nonprofits in the city, and one thing we all agree on is that the city is very supportive of the local nonprofits. We've delivered about 500,000 pounds of groceries to our residents here in Delray Beach. And not one commissioner has called and said thank you, offered a helping hand, along with others who help with housing, food, rent assistance, and on behalf of a nonprofit, not having the opportunity to remedy any mistakes that they have made or that you feel unfit is not right. You know, Old School Square management, we're not here to visit the buildings. Yes, the buildings are amazing, but the programs, the staff, everyone, they collaborate with so many businesses, they collaborate with other nonprofits. Those relationships that they have built and established in the community are priceless. No management team that can come in and take over will be able to recreate those relationships that have taken years to establish. Nonprofit work is more than just showing up and doing your job. It's relationships, it's caring, it's putting your time, your own money, your own commitment into the community because you care so much. A for-profit management team or another nonprofit who doesn't have their footwork already in Delray Beach will not offer the same amount to the community as what we already have here. I'm actually very disappointed, and I can't imagine any of you who've never made a business decision that you didn't have an opportunity to remedy without getting the rug pulled under you and never had a chance to come back from it. And with that being said, I really hope you all take into consideration all the relationships, the programs, the collaboration that Old School offers, and really reconsider and give them another chance to remedy any inconsistencies or any concerns you have. Because working together, the village by the sea, that's our platform. That's what we're here for, is to collaborate, work together, and do the best thing for the city. And so I really do hope you all reconsider your position on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Whit, 202 Northeast 5th Terrace. And I'm here because I love Old School Square. And I watched that meeting last Tuesday while I was streaming it, and I couldn't believe, I hope I can get through this without crying. It broke my heart. I've been sick ever since I watched that vote go down. I bought my house 7 years ago, and it was in large part because of Old School Square. I wanted to live in Delray Beach. There are lots of other cities with beaches and restaurants, but Old School Square is what makes us All-American City. It's very special. And I just want to implore you to reconsider and don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm proud to have served on 5 city boards in my 30-plus years here, and my family has served on quite a few of the nonprofits, and we've given $1 or $2. I really appreciate all the comments, and I just want to talk about a little history. It wasn't a few years back when the Spady Museum had some issues with audits and things, and the commission worked it out with them. It was 5 years ago when Mayor Glickstein said to the Arts Garage, "Get your act together or else," and we did. I am baffled that at a meeting last week, which was to talk about an audit, turned into a canceling of the lease, took place. Yet it can't be discussed tonight, but it was last week. My last comment is, and somebody touched on it, in the mayor's opening comments, she did mention about the turnover of the staff and the board. I say the same thing. You guys should be looking in the mirror, holding yourself accountable. There's been more turnover in the last 8 years here, from my background checking, of staff and city managers, and it's disgraceful. We need to come together and save Old School Square with the current leadership that's there. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Nancy Stewart. I live at 227 South Swinton Avenue. I've been a resident, a business owner, and a volunteer for over 25 years in Delray Beach. In spite of all the challenges and changes I've seen, I still love Delray Beach and call it my home. I launched an advertising agency in Delray about 33 years ago, and about 24 years ago found my passion in the event industry. I launched a nonprofit and 4 events, which are now internationally award-winning, at Old School Square, and I have run the Delray Affair for the past 16 years. These events are now produced in other cities, and not in my home of Delray Beach. I was in a similar position, this position, about 10 years ago, when Garlic Fest was forced to leave its home in Old School Square. At that time, we had over 300 people show up for public comments in support of our event, and all the major media partners. I continue the get asked on an annual basis to please bring Garlic Fest back to Old School Square. Old School Square is the heart of Delray. I'm here to beg you to reconsider your decision, and let's do what we always used to do. Let's unite as a community and figure out a solution. We made Delray Beach a tourist destination, and we can do this together too.
Hi, I'm Allie Kaufman. I live at 110 Marine Way in Delray. I also own Space of Mind, which is directly across the street from here at City Hall and directly across the street from Old School Square. And as Joe Gilley beautifully stated, standing up for the children, that's my job. So I'm here tonight representing not just my students, but all of the students that are in the Delray and surrounding areas. We use Old School Square and all of downtown Delray as the extended classroom for my students at Space of Mind, and we have enriched them through the enriching programs that are hosted there. And we have been blessed with the incredible care that has been given to us by the team who has worked at Old School Square with so much pride. And it's been incredible to hold our graduations there every year and to bring our kids to the Cornell Museum and to use the Crest Theater and to use the fitness field at Old School Square lawn. And I would be really remiss to tell you how much that would hurt for our students to know that this was taken away from them. On that note, I wanted to share with you what is at the crux of the social, emotional, and life skill curriculum that we teach. Maybe you need a reminder. The 4 agreements are stated. Number 1, be impeccable with your word. Number 2, don't take anything personally. Number 3, don't make assumptions. And number 4, always do your best. When we teach our children that They may not have done their best, but there is always an opportunity to repair what has been broken. We sit down and we talk it through. I encourage you as a commission to do as we teach our children to do. Admit when you've made a mistake and sit down and talk it through. Humility is always the best assertive approach. Thank you so much.
I am a past board member of Old School Square, and I've been significantly involved for more than 16 years. Many of us are still in shock over the vote last week to terminate our lease. I could stand here and go over all the reasons why you guys should try to work out your differences with Old School Square, but honestly, I don't believe this was the result of a sincere desire to do best for the citizens. Frankly, this process has done so much damage to Old School Square and the community, I don't think you can walk this back. So I'm gonna let the others do that tonight. But what I would like to focus on is the process that brought us here. You decided without notice and without a conversation with Old School Square or the community to end a 30-year partnership with the city. You spent considerable time deliberating the perils of voting to evict without understanding what it is you were taking on. And then 3 of you took the nuclear option. I can sure tell you how it looked. Given my experiences with this organization, I am uniquely qualified to tell you, you have no idea what you did. And of course you don't. You never asked anyone. The whole time I was watching the meeting, I kept saying to myself, why aren't they talking to us? Why are we being treated like adversaries? It felt awfully personal. The lack of kindness was disturbing. The vitriol coming from the vice mayor in the past few meetings was inaccurate, inappropriate, and unforgivable.
Please keep your comments are to the entire board, not to anyone in particular. Thank you.
It was taken as a personal attack by anyone who was involved in Old School Square and its recent history, and frankly, has demonstrated a complete lack of understanding for the organization and those who served it. You could not even work up a compliment for Francis, our founder, or Margaret, the generous benefactor who donated more than $2.5 million in capital improvements to our historic buildings. What was the crime? The crime was suggesting that these improvements were anything short of one of the most generous gifts the city has ever received. There was no public outcry for you guys to do this. None of you were elected with terminating Old School Square as part of your platform. So why did this happen at the last commission meeting? I have my theories, and they are really ugly. But here's the real issue. This commission is broken. Many of the citizens have lost confidence in your ability to govern objectively. Whether it was taking back the CRA, firing the last couple city managers, or terminating Old School Square, huge decisions have been made under the most bizarre circumstances. I see a fundamental lack of humanity coming from this commission. You need to fix your own house before you start burning down others. Thank you.